Good morning, friends. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I wasn't sure exactly what day it was today. Yesterday was Monday, and all of the kids went back to school, so you're not going to see cute little kids running around with me today. Jack is behind me sleeping. I don't know if you can see him. He'll probably pop back in. He likes to wander around and bark at everyone, so you'll probably see him as we are reading, just kind of popping in to bark. So I'm sorry that I wasn't here yesterday. It was the first day of school, and it was insane because we just moved, so we had to figure out how to get the kids to school, and they lost my kid yesterday, like legit lost him. I went to pick him up because when I signed them up, they didn't give me a bus number, so I drove them, right? Well, I drove them to school, so I came to pick them up, and I pulled up, and my two sons are supposed to be together, Colvin and Vaughn. You've seen them both. And I pull up and Vaughn's standing there. And I was like, where's Colvin? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, where the heck is he? He's like, he didn't come out. I'm like, what do you mean he didn't come out? So the guidance counselor comes out and she says, who are you waiting for? And I'm like, my kid? He's supposed to be here. She's like, that's a problem. And like when I first got there were kids everywhere, right? So I was like, no big deal. And then all the kids started leaving, all of them. And I was like, this isn't good. So the guidance counselor came back and she said, it appears that they put your son on the bus. And I said, what bus? He doesn't know his bus number. And they were like, we don't know exactly. So we're gonna go find out. Okay. So now I'm still sitting in the car waiting for my kid to come back. And they're like, we're just gonna go find what bus he is. I'm like, you don't understand. We moved a day ago. He doesn't know where we live. Like, he doesn't know where our house is. He doesn't know how to get there. And he doesn't know what bus he's riding because you didn't give us the bus number. So she comes back and she says, they put Colvin on the right bus, the bus he's supposed to ride. And I'm like, okay, well, how does he know when to get off? They're like, that's a really good question. Like, he doesn't know where our house is. Like, he's only been there for a day and he's 10. So she said, I think you should go drive through town and see if you can find him. What? Go drive through town and see if you can find him. And we'll call you when we figure out what the bus driver said. So now, Vaughn and I, the 9-year-old, are driving through town with our windows down, yelling, Colvin, Colvin, because we couldn't find him. And I called my husband, I'm like, did Colvin get off the bus? He's like, no, I thought you were picking him up. Yeah, me too. So finally, he's sitting on the porch and he sees this kid. He's like, well, good, there's a kid walking home. At least, like, Colvin should be here. And then he realized it was Colvin. Like, he looked so big, he didn't know it was him. So the bus drove past our house. And he saw it, thankfully, and was like, that's my house. And then let him off like 10 minutes away. And he walked the whole way back and knew where he was. So I was super impressed. But the school lost my kid. Yeah, the first day of school, the school lost my kid. So today, they had very strict instructions what bus to ride home. Hopefully, they are going to get here in one piece. And it was quite eventful because we don't do anything without drama in our house. So, my children are all still alive after the first day of school. Yay. Oh, there's Jack. Hey, come here. Come here, boo. If any of you have ever had a Mastiff, one of the personality traits is that they're very stubborn and they don't listen very well. So when I tell Jack to come here, he like looks at me, cocks his head, thinks about it for a while, and then eventually meanders over. It's not like other dogs I've had. They're like, what do you need? No, that's not Jack. And he went down the stairs instead. I think he has to go to the bathroom. Anyway, I'm so glad that you're here. Sorry for that little beginning story for you. Welcome to my life. So we did not get to read yesterday because my day was crazy. So we're going to read twice again today. I told you guys I'm not the person to read the Bible with. I kind of suck at this, but I'm glad that you're here anyway. So we are finishing Job today. We have Job 40 to 42, and then we are done with Job, which is exciting. And then we are going to do a couple chapters of Genesis for today's reading, because that was yesterday and today. So we're going to get into it, because when we're done, I have wallpaper to take off of the walls inside. Are you ready? Okay, let's do it. Then the Lord said to Job, do you still want to argue with the Almighty? You are God's critic, but do you have the answers? Then Job replied to the Lord, I am nothing. How could I ever find the answers? I'll put my hand over my mouth in silence. I have said too much already, and I have nothing more to say. Then the Lord answered Job, brace yourself, because I have some questions for you, and you must answer them. Are you going to discredit my justice and condemn me so you can say you are right? Are you as strong as God, and can you thunder with a voice like his? All right then, put on your robes of state, your majesty and splendor. Give vent to your anger, let it overflow against the proud. Humiliate the proud with a glance. Walk on the wicked where they stand. Bury them in the dust. Imprison them in the world of the dead. Then even I would praise you, for your own strength would save you. Take a look at the mighty hippopotamus. I made it just as I made you, and it eats grass like an ox. See the powerful loins and the muscles of its belly? Its tail is as straight as cedar. The sinews of its thighs are tightly knit together, and its bones are tubes of bronze. Its limbs are bars of iron. It is the prime example of God's amazing handiwork, and only its creator can threaten it. The mountains offer it their best food, where all the wild animals play. It lies down under the lotus plant, hidden by the reeds. The lotus plant gives it shade among the willows beside the stream, and it is not disturbed by raging rivers, not even when the swelling Jordan rushes down upon it. No one can catch it off guard or put a ring in its nose and lead it away. I'm not really sure what God was getting at there. I like a hippopotamus and all. That was kind of a random animal to choose. And sometimes I struggle because the Bible was written so long ago that it says, like, no one can get it. Well, yes, you can, because they're in the zoo. So, okay. I don't think that's what he was saying, and that kind of seems like I'm being a smartass. And if God was thundering at me, I probably would not say that to him. But when I'm reading it, like, that's kind of an odd response. Anyone else think so? Like, that's strange. Anyway. Can you catch a crocodile with a hook or put a noose around its jaw? They do in that show that I don't like to watch, but my family does. Crocodiles scare me, but they do in that show. Can you tie it with a rope through its nose or pierce its jaw with a spike? Will it beg you for mercy or implore you for pity? Will it agree to work for you? Can you make it be your slave? Can you pet it like a bird or give it to your little girls to play with? Will merchants try to buy it, and will they sell it in their shops? Will its hide be hurt by darts or its head by a harpoon? If you lay a hand on it, you'll never forget the battle that follows, and you will never try it again. It is useless to try to capture it. The hunter who attempts it will be thrown down, and since no one dares to disturb the crocodile, who would dare to stand up to me? Who would confront me and remain safe? Everything under heaven is mine. I want to emphasize the tremendous strength in the crocodile's limbs and throughout its enormous frame. Who can strip off its hide? Who can penetrate its double layer of armor? Who could pry open its jaws, for its teeth are terrible. The overlapping scales on its back make a shield. They are close together so no air can get between them, and they lock together so nothing can penetrate them. Sorry, I was just checking on Jack. Just eating. When it sneezes, it flashes light, and its eyes are like the red of dawn. I didn't know that alligators sneeze. Learn something new every day. Fire and sparks leap from its mouth, and smoke streams from its nostrils, like steam from a boiling pot of fire on dry rushes. Its breath would kindle coals, for flames shoot from its mouth. Maybe they're talking about a dragon. Because alligators don't have fire mouths. The tremendous strength in its neck strikes terror wherever it goes, and its flesh is hard and firm, not soft and fat. The heart is as hard as rock, as hard as a million stones. When it rises, the mighty are afraid and gripped by terror. No sword can stop it, nor spear, nor dart, nor pointed shaft. To the crocodile, iron is nothing but straw, and bronze is rotten wood. Arrows cannot make it flee, and stones shot from a sling are as ineffective as straw. Clubs do no good, and it laughs at the swish of the javelins. Its belly is covered with scales as sharp as glass, and they tear the ground as it drags through the mud. The crocodile made the water boil with its commotion. It churns the depths, and the water glistens in its wake. One would think the sea had turned white. There is nothing else so fearless anywhere on earth. Of all the creatures, Jack, come here. Come. Of all the creatures, it is the proudest. It is the king of the beasts. Okay, well, that was chapter 41. Then Job replied to the Lord, I know that you can do anything and no one can stop you. You ask, who is this to question my wisdom with such ignorance? And it is I. I was talking about things I did not understand, things far too wonderful for me. You said, listen and I will speak. I have some questions for you and you must answer them. I had heard about you before, but now I have seen you with my own eyes. I take back everything I said, and I sit in dust and ashes to show my repentance. After the Lord had finished speaking to Job, he said to Eliphaz the Temanite, I am angry with you and your 2 friends, for you have not seen right in what you said about me, as my servant Job was. Now take 7 young bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant. Job will offer a burnt offering on your behalf. My servant will pray for you, and I will accept his prayer. I will not treat you as you deserve, for you have not been right in what you said about me, as my servant Job was. So Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad, our least favorite guy, the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite did as the Lord commanded them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. When Job prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes. In fact, the Lord gave him twice as much as before. Then all of his brothers and sisters and former friends came and feasted with him in his home. And they consoled him and comforted him because of all the trials the Lord had brought against him. Each of them brought a gift of money and a gold ring. The Lord blessed Job in the second half of his life, even more than in the beginning. Jack, come. He's still getting used to his yard and not listening to me at all. Jack, come here. Come here. It's just people that are going by, boo. Come. For now he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also gave Job 7 more sons and 3 more daughters. He named his first daughter Jemimah, the second Keziah, and the third Karen Happuch. In all the land there were no other women as lovely as the daughters of Job, and their father put them into his will along with their brothers. At the time, I think that was a really big deal. Thanks, Job, for valuing the women in your life. Job lived 140 years after that to see 4 generations of children and grandchildren, and then he died an old man who had lived a long, good life. I think I'm going to need to talk to my husband about this because I was really hoping there was going to be more to it than that. I still don't understand how giving him different children can replace the children that he lost. Like, yay for you that you had 7 more and they're so beautiful. But if you ask anyone that has had a situation like that, a new child doesn't replace the old one. So I don't understand how God can be like, it's okay, here you go. Everything's fine. Like, it doesn't seem fine to me. And I don't know. I mean, I guess he said sorry. I think it's just so different back then. Like, okay, so you burned some things and said sorry, and now God's good, and you're going to get double? Like, and what happened to Satan? Why didn't he come back? Like, that just seems like it really left us hanging. Like, I was expecting so much more from the end of that chapter. I really wanted more closure. And, you know, we've talked so much about how Job's suffering was a lot like COVID. And I feel like that was like, it'll go away. It's fine. Don't worry. Like, anybody that you know that passed away, you have somebody, like, I don't know, that just, I don't know. It doesn't, how do you guys feel? Let me know in the comments, because I mean, it's the Bible, so I can't really complain about it, but I didn't feel as good about it as I wanted to at the end. I feel like that was kind of like the movie version of a book. I was not the person to do this. I feel like God is not going to be very happy. Okay, let's just keep reading. So that was Job, guys. We are done with Job. Yay! We're going back to Genesis now. We have a couple chapters to read in Genesis, and then we're done for the day. So Genesis chapter 12 is where we're starting. If you guys have been following along, we are in Genesis chapter 12. And my dog is over there, just making sure he's okay. I love this fenced-in yard. Love it. Okay. Then the Lord told Abram, leave your country, your relatives, and your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. I will cause you to become the father of a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and I will make you a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who curse you. All the families of the earth will be blessed through you. So Abram departed as the Lord had instructed him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all of his wealth, his livestock, and all the people who joined his household at Haran, and finally arrived in Canaan. Traveling through Canaan, they came to a place near Shechem and set up camp beside the oak at Moreh. At that time, the area was inhabited by Canaanites. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, I'm going to give this land to your offspring." And Abram built an altar there to commemorate the Lord's visit. After that, Abram traveled southward and set up a camp in the hill country between Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he built an altar and worshipped the Lord. Then he traveled south by stages towards the Negev. At that time, there was a severe famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to wait it out. Like they said that, he's just going to go wait it out. That's funny. As he was approaching the borders of Egypt, Abram said to Sarai, "You're a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they'll say, 'This is his wife. Let's kill him so we can have her.'" Jack. Oh, I'm so sorry. Jack. It's okay. He's very friendly. He's just a guard dog. Okay, that's hilarious. Nothing like an empty chair on TikTok. So we just met our neighbor. Come here. And when I say we, I mean Jack just lost his mind barking at her. She scared him and he freaked out. He's definitely a guard dog, but would not stop barking. And I was like, okay, but hold on, I'm saying hush. And he just, I think she scared him so bad that he was not all about that. So, yeah, I'm very sorry for that intermission. I did not mean to run away from you, but usually he'll bark for a little bit and then stop. Yesterday, the neighbor's dog came out. Hey, bro. And he hid under the deck. He was so scared that he hid under the deck. So that, I don't know why he was like really, I mean, she must have really scared him. He would not stop barking. Jack, you say hi. Can you say hi? Oh, that's a good boy. Seriously, boo. You were freaking out. You gonna stay by mom? They're called neighbors. Like they're gonna be there. Do you like how sometimes when he's like upset, he'll just turn his head? He's totally listening to me. But when he gets mad at me, he turns his head and he like won't look at me. Yeah. Attitude. This part of his head is so soft. And his ears. Soft. His ears are like velvet. Are you good? Good? Okay. My goodness. All right. Apparently we're going to keep reading about Abram and Sarah. You can lay down, Jack? There's too much to see. So where we were was Abram said, "You're a beautiful woman. They're going to want to kill me to get you." Awesome. But if you say you're my sister, then the Egyptians will treat me well. He is actually a hybrid mastiff. He is a mix of a couple different kinds of mastiffs. That's English, Bordeaux, and Cane Corso. So, Jack, no. think he just ate my plant. I think he legit just pulled my plant out of a pot and went to eat it. Hey! No! That dog. Thank you. I think he's pretty cute too, but not right now. Jack. Yesterday I saw TikTok. Someone said if you have a dog named Jack, okay, we might have to be done. Jack, no, come. No. Hey, come here. Oh my gosh. Let's read this as fast as possible because this is not working out today. Seriously, right? Like, the best laid plans. I'm trying, but I have said from the beginning, imperfect. If you were hanging out with me, you know this is not some sort of weird, no, I shouldn't say weird. This is not some sort of perfect sermon in church. This is my dog is going crazy and my kids are walking in and out and I'm a hot mess that has barely slept because I'm removing wallpaper. That's what you get when you're over here. Oh my gosh. Okay. So he says, pretend that I'm your brother because then they're going to treat me well and they'll spare my life. Sure enough, when they arrived, everyone spoke of her beauty. When the palace officials saw her, they sang her praises to the king, the pharaoh, and she was taken into his harem. So he was like, pretend you're my sister, and they took his wife and put her in a harem? I'd be so upset with my husband. They gave Abram many gifts because of her, sheep, cattle, donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Lord sent a terrible plague upon the Pharaoh's household because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh called for Abram and accused him sharply. What is this you've done to me, he demanded. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why were you willing to let me marry her, saying she was your sister? Here is your wife, take her and be gone. Pharaoh then sent them out of the country under armed escort, Abram and his wife, with all their household and belongings. Well, I think he's right to be pissed. He should have told him. So they left Egypt and traveled north into the Negev, Abram with his wife, and Lot, and all that they owned. For Abram was very rich in livestock, silver, and gold. Then they continued traveling by stages towards Bethel, to the place where Bethel and Ai, where they had camped before. This is the place where Abram had built the altar, and there he again worshipped the Lord. Now Lot, who was traveling with Abram, was also very wealthy, with sheep and cattle and many tents. But the land could not support both Lot and Abram with all their flocks and herds living so close together. There were too many animals for the available pasture land. So an argument broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. At that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were also living on the land. Perizzites? Then Abram talked it over with Lot. The arguing between our herdsmen has got to stop. After all, we're close relatives. I'll tell you what we'll do. Take your choice of any section of the land you want, and we'll separate. If you want that area over there, then I'll stay here. If you want to stay in this area, then I'll move on. Lot took a long look at the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley in the direction of Zoar. The whole area was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord or the beautiful land of Egypt. This is before the Lord had destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose that land for himself, the Jordan Valley to the east of them. And he went there with his flocks and servants and parted company with his uncle Abram. While Abram stayed in the land of Canaan, Lot moved his tent to a place near Sodom among the cities on the plain. The people of this area were unusually wicked and sinned greatly against the Lord. After Lot was gone, the Lord said to Abram, "Look as far as you can see in every direction. I'm going to give all this land to you and your offspring as a permanent possession. And I'm going to give you so many descendants that like the dust they cannot be counted. Take a walk in every direction and explore the new possessions I'm giving you." Then Abram moved his camp to the oak grove owned by Mamre, which is at Hebron, and he built an altar for the Lord. That was chapter 13. Yay! We're moving on to 14. So now they're split up, and Lot's getting all kinds of good things from God. About this time, war broke out in the region. King Amraphel of Babylonia, King Arioch of Elasar, King Kedorlaomer of Elam, and King Tidal of Goim fought against King Bera, King Bersha, King Shinab, King Shemeber, and the king of Bela. I'm sorry, I'm abbreviating that. I can't say their names, and I don't think that we have any idea what they are anyway. 1 year later, Kedorlaomer and his allies arrived. They conquered the Rephites, the Zuites, the Emites, and the Horites, and the Alphanites. They conquered everyone. Yeah, they conquered everyone. We're going to go with that. Now the army of the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela prepared for battle in the valley of the Dead Sea against that king, and there were 4 kings against 5. As it happened, the valley was filled with tar pits, and as the army of the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, some slipped into the tar pits, while the rest escaped into the mountains. The victorious invaders then plundered Sodom and Gomorrah and began their long journey home, taking all the wealth and the food with them. They also captured Lot, Abram's nephew who lived in Sodom, and took everything they owned. One of the men who escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was camped at the oak grove belonging to Mamre, the Amorite. Mamre and his relatives, Eshcol and Aner, were Abram's allies. When Abram learned that Lot had been captured, he called together the men born into his household, 318 of them. Bruh, 318 men in his household? That's crazy town. We just moved. Can you imagine if you had 300 people to help you move? Or all the crap you'd have if you had 300 people? Either way, all 318 came. They chased after the army until they caught up with them, and then they divided the men and attacked during the night from several directions. The army fled, but Abram chased them into Hobah, north of Damascus. Abram and his allies recovered everything, all the goods that had been taken, Lot with his possessions, and all the women and other captives. So as Abram returned from his victory, the king of Sodom came out to meet him in the valley of Shaveh, the king's valley. Then Melchizedek, the king of Salem and the priest of the God of the Most High, brought him bread and wine. That guy blessed Abram with this blessing. Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who has helped you conquer your enemies. Then Abram gave him 1/10 of all the goods he'd recovered, and the king told him, "Give back to my people who were captured, that you may keep for yourself all the goods you've recovered." Abram replied, "I have solemnly promised the Lord, God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, that I will not take so much as a single thread or sandal from you. Otherwise you might say, I am the one who made Abram rich, and all that I will accept is these young men of mine have already eaten. But give a share of my goods to the allies, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre." Well, that's kind of cool. So Abram was like, I can't take your stuff because then it's going to look like you made me rich and not God. All right, last chapter for today. I'm a little bit scared because Jack has been quiet. Good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you guys are here. We are reading chapter 15, Genesis 15, and then we are done for the day. Afterward, the Lord spoke to Abram in a vision and said to him, "Do not be afraid, Abram, for I will protect you and your reward will be great." But Abram replied, "O sovereign Lord, what good are all your blessings when I don't even have a son? Since I don't have a son, Eliezer of Damascus, a servant, will inherit all my wealth. You've given me no children, so one of my servants will have to be my heir." That's interesting. Earlier it said he had 318 people. I thought those were his family. It said born into his household. But that must be like his servants' kids and stuff because he doesn't have any kids. So it was just 318 people. It wasn't his family. The Lord said to him, "Your servant will not be your heir. You'll have a son of your own to inherit everything I'm giving you." Then he brought Abram outside beneath the night sky and told him, "Look up into the heavens and count the stars if you can. Your descendants will be like that, too many to count." And Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord declared him righteous because of his faith. Then the Lord told him, "I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land." But Abram replied, "O sovereign Lord, how can I be sure that you'll give it to me?" The Lord told him, "Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." That's very specific. Abram took all of these and killed them. He cut each one down the middle and laid the halves side by side. Ew. He did not, however, divide the birds in half. Some vultures came down to eat the carcasses, but Abram chased them away. That evening, as the sun was going down, Abram fell into a deep sleep and saw a terrifying vision of darkness and horror. Well, yeah, if you're cutting animals in half. Okay, so it was cousins, sisters, brothers, and their wives. Thank you. I'm glad you're here, because I was like, I don't get it. That's helpful. Okay, so it was people in his household that he was related to, because they all would have traveled with him. Okay, thank you. I wish you were here when we were finishing reading Lot earlier, because I had no idea what I was talking about then. All right, so right now, Abram is in a terrifying vision of darkness and horror, because he cut animals in half. That's not like, they say whatever you do before you go to bed is what you dream about. Well, there's kind of the problem. Then the Lord told Abram, "You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers in a foreign land. They'll be oppressed as slaves for 400 years. But I will punish the nation that enslaves them, and in the end, they'll come away with great wealth. But you will die in peace at a ripe old age. After 4 generations, your descendants will return to this land when the sin of the Amorites has run its course." As the sun went down and it became dark, Abram saw a smoking firepot and a flaming torch pass between the halves of the carcasses. So the Lord made a covenant with Abram that day and said, "I have given this land to your descendants, all the way from the border of Egypt to the great Euphrates River, the land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Rephaites, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites." Wow, that's a mouthful. That's the end for today. I think it's funny that, I grew up in the church, and some of these weird names, I'm like, oh, Canaanites, and others, I'm like, I have no idea how the heck you say that. So some of them are going to be a lot more popular back in the book than others, because I've heard them from Bible stories and things like that. So you're welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you guys came. It's much easier to do this with somebody else than to do it myself, and I love that you are interacting back with me, so we're doing it together, right? That was all for today. So I'm trying to get used to this new schedule with the kids, but I should be on after my bigs go to school, so in between 8 and 9 probably is when we're going to start reading. Once I'm really on the schedule, then I can start scheduling the live, but I didn't ever want to do that and then not show up, because that'd be terrible. Like yesterday, I wasn't here because it was just such a chaotic day. So have a great Tuesday. I hope that you guys have a fantastic one. I'm so glad that you're here, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks.